it is understood that it is not one single person, but a predominant people or group of peoples who would be ruling the world at that time, then all these are metaphors. Why must you insist that Jesus is not a metaphor? In the world of metaphors, why should you be odd man out? He could also be referred as a metaphor. Something like Jesus Christ, something in the spirit of Jesus Christ, something resembling him in his attitude and doctrines, as to remind one of the movement of Jesus Christ and what followed. Now, this is exactly our interpretation of these traditions, and I draw your attention further to the fact that this fits in perfectly with all the traditions of Hadhrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam regarding Jesus Christ. Now, the question is, why didn't he say like Jesus Christ? Anyone like? The issue would have been resolved easily. Yeah. But there are references in the Holy Quran regarding Hadhrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam where he is likened to God in certain areas, but the word like is not used. وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. It doesn't say you threw the pebble full of your handful of pebbles like God could have done. He said, وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ. You did not throw that handful of pebbles. It was God who did it. Then, to further complicate the issues for those who believe, of course, in unity, perfect unity of God, the Holy Quran says, الَّذِينَ يُبَايِعُونَكَ تَحْتَ الشَّجَرَةِ, referring to those people who took bath in Sulh Hudaybiyah. إِنَّمَا يُبَايِعُونَ اللَّهِ. This verse, this expression is used. They are taking their bath at the hand of God Almighty. Then again it says, Yadullahi fawqa aydihim. If anybody is still in any doubt, the hand of Muhammad which was over their hands is the hand of Allah. And none of the Muslims, even the most extremists, ever interpret it to be God himself. So sometimes the similarities become so powerful that the fasahatu balagat or the rhetorics would demand that like and this similar, that these words are removed to bring to the focus of attention the importance of similarity. Again, this is a common use in every language. It is in common use in every language. Like in the Arabs say, if somebody is very generous, he is Hatam Tai. And the dramatists are sometimes referred to as Shakespeare. Like Agha Kashmiri used to be referred to as Shakespeare in India. And similarly, this is a common practice of human expression, common tradition of human expression, that if you want to emphasize the similarity, the words of similarity are totally withdrawn. So we believe this is a fair case of that. The similarities between the reformer to come in the latter days and the reformer of the latter days of Moses were to be so strong that the Holy Quran removed the word, the Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam removed the word of ka from in between to emphasize the similarity. But at other places, he also removed the confusion and possible misunderstanding. And that can be shown very clearly. Hazur Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam, speaking of the latter days when Jesus was to descend, he said, why Jesus? That is the question. Speaking of the Muslims of that era, he says they would be similar to Jews as a, a shoe of a pair is similar to the other partner, to the other pair, to other of the same pair. Now, this is a very important prediction or prophecy of Hadhrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because it solves the mystery of why Jesus and why refer to him as Ibn Maryam. Because the Jews of his period had become so hard-hearted, as the Holy Quran refers to them as their hearts having been turned to stones. And Jesus did not change the religion, but he revolutionized the attitudes. Instead of stressing revenge, he almost left no room for any revenge. He said, if somebody slaps on the right cheek, offer the other one, and so on and so forth. So something like that was to be done to cure the same illness, which is referred to as Judaic misbehavior in religion. When this disease struck the world of Islam again, and the remedy for that was Messiah. So again, the remedy should be the same. But not the same Messiah of the old Moses, because he came only for a smaller area of ills and treatment. And that area of ills and treatment has been defined by the Holy Quran as, speaking of Jesus, it says, Rasulan ila Bani Israel. He was a prophet only to Israelites, not to all the world. Now imagine if he returns the same in person. Will we not have a right to reject him by saying, bring your authority from the Quran? The Holy Quran says you are fit only to deal with the problems of Israelites. And you have come here claiming that you can resolve the Muslim problems which is an ummah, which is universal. Ummah of the Prophet Islam, of Muhammad Rasulullah of Islam, which covers everything. How could you do that? So these are the indicators. I'm not taking up the debate in depth and in detail, only I'm pointing out to you these areas of further research. And if you try to resolve the problem from all these, with the help of these references, I hope, inshallah, you will be guided to the right conclusion.
What have the classical scholars said about your interpretation?
Beg pardon?
About the interpretation your Jamaat gives?
You see, the scholars, that is the orthodox scholars, whom do they represent? If Messiah has come, let's suppose for a while, if a true, genuine Messiah has come, whom would the scholars represent to reject him? People like Jews, the ones to which Hadhrat Muhammad Rasulullah has referred, that they would be as similar to the Jews of that earlier period as one of the shoes of a pair is similar to the other. So it's not a question of whether Hadhrat Mirza Sahib is right or wrong. It's a question to be decided in principle first. Then I can visualize you to be in agreement with me without any prejudices. Let's forget for a while the claim of Hadhrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib to be that Messiah. Let us, for the sake of argument, accept that a Messiah is yet to come. Okay? When he comes, what will be the position of those ulama who reject him? Whom would they represent? God, Muhammad Rasulullah and Islam, or the distorted understanding of Islam of that period? What is your answer to that?
Isn't
I mean, take your time and consider.
Yeah.